In the vastness of space, a colossal alien mothership hovered silently above Earth, its surface glinting with the glow of distant stars. As it scanned the planet below, a diverse crew of extraterrestrial beings filled the command center, their eyes gleaming with an unsettling mix of curiosity and disdain. Commander Zorak, an imposing figure with shimmering green skin and multifaceted eyes, stood at the helm, observing the vibrant blue planet that had caught their interest for far too long. He turned to his crew with a mocking smile as they gathered around the holographic display projecting scenes of human life on Earth. "Look at them," he said, gesturing toward the images of bustling cities and sprawling countryside, the way they struggle to advance with such primitive tools. It's almost endearing. The crew erupted into laughter, their voices echoing in the metallic chamber, as they pointed at the holographic images of humans engaged in their daily routines. A group of people gathered at a cafe laughing over drinks, while another set busied themselves with what appeared to be a chaotic game of sports. An engineer named Lear chimed in, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "Can you believe they still rely on combustion engines? How quaint," she laughed again. The others joined in their amusement at humanity's perceived shortcomings. Zorak leaned forward, his interest piqued by a live feed showing humans staring in awe at the night sky, filled with stars. "They even think they can reach us one day," he continued. "Their aspirations are laughable. It's like watching a child dream of becoming a star." As the crew continued to mock humanity, they failed to notice the dark shapes lurking just beyond their mothership. The human stealth fleet, composed of advanced ships cloaked in technology that rendered them nearly invisible, hovered in the shadows of the atmosphere, observing the aliens with keen eyes and ready weapons. Inside the lead ship of the human fleet, Commander Jace, a seasoned pilot with years of experience, scanned the alien vessel with a mix of determination and curiosity. As he listened to the aliens' derisive comments filtered through their communication systems, his jaw clenched in disbelief at their arrogance. He exchanged glances with his crew, a diverse group of men and women who had devoted their lives to defending Earth, each one driven by a fierce loyalty and pride. They were determined to show the aliens that humanity was far more capable than they believed. With a signal from Jace, the crew initiated their stealth systems, activating cloaking devices that rendered their ships undetectable to the alien sensors. They slipped silently through the atmosphere, like shadows preparing to gather intelligence, while the aliens continued their mocking chatter. As the human fleet approached the alien mothership, Jace could feel the tension building. The stakes were high. This was not just about gathering information. It was about proving their worth to a species that had underestimated them for far too long. Zorak continued to belittle humanity, unaware that they were being watched. His laughter resonated through the command center, fueling the determination of the human fleet. They were about to witness a lesson in humility that they would not forget. Jace felt a surge of adrenaline as he prepared for the next phase of their mission. He turned to his crew, ready to embark on a dangerous yet necessary task to infiltrate the alien command and learn everything they could, while the aliens remained blissfully ignorant of the storm that was about to unfold. Inside the military archives, a dim light flickered overhead, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The air was thick with dust, and the faint smell of rust hung in the atmosphere. Layla led the group through narrow corridors, lined with old metal filing cabinets and locked doors. Each step echoed in the silence, amplifying their anxiety as they moved deeper into the unknown. "We need to find the central command room," said Leela, her voice barely above a whisper. "It should contain the information we need to locate the weapon." They navigated the maze of corridors with a sense of urgency, their hearts racing as they heard distant thuds and blasts from the ongoing chaos outside. The atmosphere was heavy with tension as they pressed on. Fear lingered just beneath the surface, but so did determination. They had come too far to turn back now. As they rounded a corner, Marcus suddenly stopped, raising a hand to signal the group to halt. He leaned closer to the wall, straining to hear something in the distance. A low hum reverberated through the air, something mechanical and ominous. "What is that?" Tom asked, his eyes wide with apprehension. "I think it's the aliens," said Marcus, his voice low. "They must be searching the archives. We have to be careful." They edged forward, carefully sticking to the shadows and avoiding the patches of light spilling from broken windows. Suddenly Lila spotted a door marked with a faded emblem of a phoenix. It was the central command room. She rushed forward, her heart pounding with hope. "Here it is," she exclaimed, pushing the door open with a creak that echoed in the silence. Inside the room was filled with ancient computers and displays long dormant, covered in layers of dust, yet in the center of the room sat a massive terminal that looked slightly more modern than the rest. "We might still have a chance," said Leela, her eyes lighting up. As she approached the terminal, she began to type furiously, trying to boot it up. The others stood guard at the door, their senses heightened as they listened for any signs of the aliens. Come on," she muttered to herself as the screen flickered to life, finally illuminating the dark room. A series of holographic displays emerged, showing maps and files filled with data. Leela scrolled through the information, her heart racing with each passing second. "There it is," she shouted, pointing to a file labeled Project Genesis. "This could be the weapon we've been searching for." Marcus leaned closer, studying the holographic display. "It shows a hidden chamber beneath the city." He said this is where they stored the weapon. Just then they heard footsteps approaching from the corridor. They exchanged panicked glances. As the sound grew louder, Leela quickly copied the data onto a portable drive, while the others positioned themselves defensively at the door. "We have to go now," said Jenna, urgency lacing her voice. Leela grabbed the drive just as the door began to creak open. The group moved swiftly, the adrenaline surging through them as they bolted back into the maze of corridors. They retraced their steps, their minds racing with thoughts of what lay ahead. They could hear the aliens speaking in harsh, guttural tones. Drawing closer, they knew they were running out of time. "Keep moving," said Marcus, his voice steady but urgent. "We can't let them catch us." They dashed through the halls, navigating the chaos outside the door. The world beyond was still engulfed in turmoil and destruction. But they had a new purpose. They were armed with knowledge and a plan, even as the shadows of the alien forces loomed ever closer. As they reached the exit, a deafening explosion rocked the building, sending them sprawling to the ground. They quickly regained their footing, the urgency of their mission fueling their determination to escape and uncover the power that could save humanity. Bursting through the door, they stumbled into the open air, where chaos reigned. The streets were filled with smoke, and the acrid scent of burning debris hung heavily in the atmosphere. The sounds of distant explosions and panicked screams created a cacophony that threatened to drown out their resolve. "We have to move quickly," said Layla, scanning the area for any sign of safety. "The aliens could be right behind us." Marcus nodded, leading the way as they navigated through the wreckage. They ducked behind abandoned vehicles and darted between crumbling buildings, their hearts pounding in sync with their hurried footsteps. Every moment felt like a countdown as they pressed on toward the hidden chamber revealed in the data. Just as they reached a narrow alley, a blast from an alien ship illuminated the sky above, sending shockwaves that rattled their bones. They ducked down, instinctively seeking cover from the onslaught of destruction. "This way," said Jenna, pulling them into a narrow passage between two buildings. The entrance to the chamber should be just ahead. As they maneuvered through the debris, Layla clutched the portable drive tightly, her mind racing with possibilities. What if they could unlock the weapon and harness its power? What if it could truly turn the tide against the alien forces? Emerging from the alley, they found themselves in a clearing dominated by a massive concrete structure half buried in rubble. Layla squinted at the faded markings on the facade, recognizing it from the holographic map. "This is it," she said, her voice filled with awe and fear. "We're here." The entrance loomed before them, a heavy door adorned with intricate designs that hinted at its purpose. Lila approached the door, hesitantly examining the mechanisms that seemed almost alive with energy. "How do we get in?" asked Tom, glancing nervously around for any sign of the aliens. "Let me try," said Leela, setting the portable drive on a nearby console. She began inputting commands based on the knowledge she had gleaned from the archives. Sparks flew as the system came to life, the door emitting a low hum that vibrated through the ground. Just as the door began to open, they heard the unmistakable sound of alien footsteps, drawing closer. The tension escalated as they exchanged panicked glances. "Hurry," Leela urged, her fingers racing over the console. The door began to slide open, revealing a dimly lit corridor that extended into the darkness. They rushed inside, just as the first alien soldiers rounded the corner, their alien forms silhouetted against the fiery backdrop of destruction outside. "Close the door," shouted Marcus, and they pushed against the heavy door just in time. The sound of alien voices echoed outside as they sealed themselves in the chamber. Inside, the corridor was cold, and damp, the walls adorned with ancient symbols that seemed to pulse with energy. Leela could feel the power emanating from within, urging her to explore. They pressed forward, navigating through the twisting hallways until they reached a massive chamber at the heart of the facility. The room was vast, filled with intricate machinery and devices that hummed with latent energy. In the center stood a pedestal, and upon it lay a weapon unlike anything they had ever seen. It was a sleek metallic structure shimmering with an otherworldly glow. "This is it," said Leela, breathless. As she approached the pedestal, "The weapon is real." "But how do we activate it?" asked Jenna, stepping closer, eyeing the device with a mix of awe and fear. Leela examined the pedestal, searching for clues. The ancient texts mentioned a key, a power source that would unlock the weapon's full potential. "If we can find it, we can use this against the aliens." Just then the ground trembled, and the echoes of alien voices grew louder outside the chamber. They had only moments before their pursuers would breach the door. "We need to find that power source and activate this weapon fast," said Marcus, determination etched on his face. Leela nodded, adrenaline coursing through her veins as she began. Her search time was running out, but hope surged within her. They had come too far to turn back now. They would harness this hidden power and reclaim their world from the brink of destruction. Leela scanned the vast chamber, filled with ancient machinery and pulsating energy. She felt an urgency unlike anything she had ever experienced. The alien voices outside were a constant reminder of the danger they were in. "We need to split up," she said quickly. "We have to find that power source before they get in." Marcus nodded and gestured to Tom and Jenna to follow him, while Leela took a different path. Through the winding corridors, she moved swiftly, her heart racing, as she examined the walls covered in glowing symbols that seemed to whisper secrets of the past. As she turned a corner, she stumbled upon a smaller room filled with strange artifacts and devices. They looked almost like weapons, but different, more elegant and streamlined. She approached a large console at the center of the room, its surface etched with the same symbols she had seen before. With trembling hands, she began to examine the console, hoping it might contain information about the power source. Just then a sudden crash reverberated through the chamber. The aliens were getting closer, and she could hear their voices growing louder. Leela focused her attention on the console, activating it with a series of commands. The screen flickered to life, displaying a holographic interface filled with data that spun and shifted in mesmerizing patterns. "Come on," she urged herself, scanning the information for anything useful. Her eyes widened as she discovered a file labeled Power Source Activation. She tapped on it, and a 3D model of a small crystal emerged floating above the console. "This has to be it," she whispered. The crystal looked like it contained a swirling energy that pulsed with power. According to the data, it could be found in a storage compartment just beyond the main chamber. Leela quickly made her way back to where she had left Marcus and the others. She could feel the ground shake with each passing second. The aliens were determined to breach the chamber. They were gathered around the weapon as Leela approached. "Did you find anything?" asked Marcus, his brow furrowed with concern. "I did," she replied breathlessly. "The power source is in a storage compartment nearby. If we can get it, we can activate the weapon." Jenna glanced nervously at the door. "We don't have much time, let's go." They hurried through the winding corridors, Leela leading the way with determination. She could feel the energy of the weapon calling to her, urging her to find the crystal that would unlock its true potential. As they neared the storage compartment, they heard a loud crash, the door rattling violently as the aliens attempted to break through. Marcus took a defensive stance, preparing for a fight. "We have to be quick," said Leela as she reached the compartment door. She typed in the access code she had memorized from the console, and with a hiss the door slid open, revealing the shimmering crystal resting on a pedestal bathed in light. "There it is," shouted Tom, reaching for it. "Wait," said Leela, "we don't know what might happen if we touch it." "But we don't have time," said Jenna, looking back at the door, which was beginning to splinter. Leela took a deep breath as she reached for the crystal. It felt warm to the touch, a pulsating energy coursing through it. She lifted it carefully, feeling its power surge through her fingers. "Got it," she said triumphantly. "Now let's get back to the weapon." They raced back down the corridor, their hearts pounding as the sound of the aliens grew more intense behind them. The door to the main chamber loomed ahead, and Leela could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. They burst into the chamber, and Leela hurried to the pedestal, placing the crystal into a slot designed for it. As it locked into place, the entire room vibrated with energy. The weapon began to hum and glow brighter than before. "It's time," said Marcus as he stepped back, ready for whatever would come next. The energy surged through the room, illuminating the dark corners, and filling them with light. Leela's heart raced as she activated the weapon. This was their chance to reclaim their world from the alien threat. As the weapon hummed to life, a brilliant light filled the chamber, engulfing them in its radiant glow. Leela felt a surge of energy course through her veins, as if the weapon was resonating with her very essence. The air crackled with anticipation, and hope flooded her heart. "We did it," said Jenna, her voice barely above a whisper, as she stared in awe at the weapon. "The power source is activated, and it's ready to fire." Leela stepped closer to the control interface, her fingers trembling with excitement. This is it, she thought. They could finally turn the tide against the alien armada. Marcus positioned himself near the door, watching for any signs of the alien forces. He could hear them outside, their voices growing louder as they coordinated their attack. Determination etched on his face. He knew they had to act fast. Leela began to input commands into the interface, the weapon responding to her every touch. The display showed targeting systems locking onto the alien fleet, hovering ominously above the city. She could see their ships silhouetted against the fiery backdrop of destruction. "What are we waiting for?" asked Tom, his eyes wide with urgency. "Let's show them what we've got." Just as she was about to initiate the launch, the chamber shook violently. As the aliens breached the door, the heavy metal crashed inward, and alien soldiers poured into the room, their grotesque forms illuminated by the weapon's glow. Leela felt a jolt of fear, but she quickly steeled herself. They couldn't let fear control them. They had to fight back. "Fire the weapon," shouted Marcus, as he took aim with a rifle targeting the nearest alien soldiers. Leela nodded, her heart pounding as she pressed the activation button. The weapon unleashed a blinding beam of energy that shot forth like a comet, illuminating the entire chamber. The energy wave rippled through the air, striking the first wave of alien soldiers with incredible force. The impact was cataclysmic, sending them flying back. As the energy coursed through them, Leela watched in awe as the aliens were engulfed in brilliant light, disintegrating into nothingness. "Keep firing," she urged as she continued to unleash the weapon's power. The beam swept across the room, targeting the remaining aliens who were trying to regroup. Marcus and Tom took advantage of the chaos, laying down cover fire as Leela focused on controlling the weapon. The chamber filled with a cacophony of explosions and alien cries, drowned out by the roar of energy emanating from the weapon. "We're making a difference," shouted Jenna, her voice filled with exhilaration as they pushed back against their attackers. Leela felt a surge of pride as she fought alongside her friends. They had come together against insurmountable odds, and now they were striking back at their oppressors. But they couldn't let up, they had to keep pushing. As the last of the alien soldiers fell, the chamber fell silent, except for the hum of the weapon and the distant sounds of battle outside. Leela took a deep breath, wiping sweat from her brow. "We need to get outside," she said quickly. "The fight isn't over yet." They moved cautiously toward the now breached door, peering into the chaos. Beyond, the battle raged on in the streets as human fighters rallied against the alien forces, using the newfound momentum from the weapon's power. "Look," said Tom, pointing toward the skies. "The aliens are in disarray. They didn't expect us to fight back like this." Leela felt a rush of adrenaline as she stepped outside into the fray. The sight was both terrifying and exhilarating. Humans were fighting valiantly against the invaders. The tide had turned, and she could feel the energy of their victory spurring them on. "We can't let this opportunity slip away," said Marcus as he surveyed the battlefield. "Let's regroup with the others and show them what we can do." Leela nodded, feeling a fierce determination igniting within her. They had found the hidden weapon, and now they would unleash its power on a scale they had never imagined. Together, they would reclaim their planet from the alien threat and pave the way for a new future. Stepping into the chaos outside, Leela felt the energy of battle envelop her. The streets were filled with fire and smoke, but amidst the destruction, she saw signs of hope. Human fighters rallied together, their spirits bolstered by the unexpected turn in their favor. "We have to lead them," said Marcus as he glanced around, taking stock of their surroundings. "We need to make sure they know we have the weapon." Leela nodded, gripping the portable drive tightly in her hand. Its data contained not only the weapon's activation, but strategies that could help them secure their victory. She could sense the urgency in the air as alien ships continued to rain down fire upon the city. Jenna pointed toward a nearby group of fighters engaged in fierce combat. They looked overwhelmed and outnumbered. "If we can reach them, we can show them what we have." With a fierce determination, the group moved quickly through the wreckage, dodging blasts and alien fire. As they approached the beleaguered fighters, Leela shouted to get their attention. "Over here, we're here to help," shouted Leela as she and her team dove into the fray. The fighters turned startled, but quickly realized who they were and what they represented. Their eyes widened as they saw the weapon glimmering with power in Leela's hands. "You found it," one of the fighters, a woman named Elena, exclaimed, her voice filled with disbelief. "We thought all hope was lost." "Not anymore," said Marcus, stepping forward. "We're going to take back our city and drive the aliens out. We just need everyone to work together." With newfound resolve, the group regrouped, strategizing their next moves. Leela shared the information from the drive, outlining how they could utilize the weapon to create powerful energy blasts, targeting key alien ships hovering above. As they prepared to launch their counterattack, Leela felt a sense of unity among the fighters. They were no longer individuals fighting for survival, but a collective force standing against a common enemy. They took their positions as Leela activated the weapon. The energy surged through her body as she focused on the nearest alien ship. She could see the targeting system locking on, sending a ripple of anticipation through the crowd. Now, Leela shouted as she pressed the button, unleashing a beam of energy that shot into the sky. It struck the alien ship with blinding intensity, exploding in a shower of debris that rained down upon the battlefield. Cheers erupted from the human fighters as they witnessed the alien ship disintegrate. The tide of battle had officially turned. The humans were no longer the hunted, but the hunters. With renewed vigor, they pressed forward. Leela felt the adrenaline coursing through her veins as they continued to unleash the weapon's power. The streets lit up with bursts of energy and explosions as alien ships fell from the sky like shooting stars. However, the alien forces quickly began to regroup. Their commanders were furious, and desperate to retaliate, they unleashed a torrent of fire upon the human fighters, trying to regain control of the situation. "We need to stay coordinated," shouted Marcus, as he fought alongside Leela, and the others focus on their command ships. "If we take them out, we can disrupt their forces." Leela nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility upon her shoulders. She knew the stakes were high, and failure was not an option. With each beam of energy she fired, she could feel their hopes and dreams intertwined with the weapon. As they fought through the streets, Leela spotted a massive alien command ship hovering ominously above. They needed to bring it down to ensure their victory. "That's our target," she said, pointing toward the ship. "It's time to finish this." The fighters rallied behind her determination, etched on their faces. They moved as one united force, ready to confront the heart of the alien threat. "Let's go," she shouted as they pressed forward into the fray, determined to seize their victory and reclaim their world from the clutches of the invaders. As Lyra and her team pressed forward, they could feel the air thick with tension and anticipation. The massive alien command ship loomed overhead, casting a long shadow over the battlefield. Its presence felt like a dark omen, but it also ignited a fierce determination within the human fighters. "We have to reach the base of that ship," said Marcus, pointing to a series of structures that connected to its underside. "If we can get close enough, we might be able to disable its defenses." The fighters nodded in agreement, their resolve hardening. As they maneuvered through the chaos, they moved as a cohesive unit, dodging blasts and taking cover behind whatever debris they could find. The ground shook beneath their feet as explosions lit up the sky, and the sounds of battle echoed all around them. Leela felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. They were on the brink of a decisive confrontation, and she knew they had to make every second count. As they approached the base of the command ship, they encountered a squad of alien soldiers guarding the entrance. Their grotesque forms moved with unnatural speed and precision, but the humans were ready. Together, they charged forward, weapons raised. Leela activated the hidden weapon, unleashing a powerful beam of energy that struck the aliens with a searing force. The first wave fell quickly, but more were coming, and they had to act fast. Jenna took aim, providing cover fire. As Tom and Marcus flanked her, they worked seamlessly as a unit, each anticipating the others' moves. The camaraderie fueled their determination. "Keep pushing," shouted Marcus as they advanced. "We can't let them regroup." They fought fiercely, engaging the alien soldiers in close combat. Leela felt the adrenaline surging through her as she dodged a blow and countered with a strike of her own. Every hit felt like a step closer to reclaiming their world. Just as they fought their way through the alien ranks, Leela heard a chilling sound echoing from above. The command ship had begun to retaliate, its cannons turning toward them, ready to unleash devastating firepower. "Get down," shouted Leela as she dove for cover behind a large metal crate. The blast rocked the ground, sending shockwaves that rattled their bones. "We need to disable those cannons," said Tom as he peered over the crate, scanning for a way to breach the ship's defenses. Leela nodded, recalling the data from the drive. "There should be a weak point near the base," she said. "If we can target it, we can disable the cannons." They regrouped quickly and prepared for one final push. Leela's heart raced as she knew what was at stake. They had come too far to turn back now. "On my mark," said Marcus, gripping his weapon tightly. They moved into position, ready to launch their assault. "Now," shouted Leela as she activated the weapon, aiming for the weak point she had identified. The energy beam shot forth, illuminating the area with a blinding light. It struck the base of the command ship, and the impact resonated through the ground. The ship shuddered as alarms blared, and the alien soldiers began to panic. The cannons faltered and sparks flew as the weapon disabled their defenses. "Yes," shouted Jenna, her voice filled with exhilaration. "Keep it going," Leela urged as they pressed their advantage. The command ship was vulnerable now, and they had to capitalize on it. With renewed determination, they launched a coordinated attack, targeting the exposed areas of the ship. Leela could see the alien forces scrambling, trying to regroup, but it was too late. The humans were in control. As they fought on, Leela felt a sense of unity with her comrades, each of them fighting for the same cause, driven by a shared hope for a future free from oppression. They were not just fighting for their survival, they were fighting for their home and their freedom. "Let's finish this," said Marcus as they prepared for one final strike. They had come too far to stop now. Together, they would bring down the command ship and ensure their victory against the alien threat. With determination coursing through their veins, Leela and her team prepared for the final assault on the alien command ship. The atmosphere crackled with tension and anticipation as they coordinated their next moves. "We need to get it all at once," said Marcus, his voice steady. "We have to overwhelm their defenses and make sure they can't retaliate." Leela nodded, feeling the weight of their mission. The weapon hummed with energy in her hands, and she knew it was their best chance to secure victory. They gathered together, forming a tight circle as they strategized. "On my count," shouted Jenna, "we'll fire the weapon and attack from all sides." They readied their positions, eyes fixed on the vulnerable sections of the command ship. The alien forces around them were still scrambling to regain control, but they wouldn't have much time. 1, 2, 3 now. Leela activated the weapon, unleashing a concentrated beam of energy that pierced the air. The force of the blast was blinding as it struck the ship with incredible power. Simultaneously, Marcus and Tom fired their weapons, aiming for the exposed areas Leela had identified. The command ship shuddered and alarms blared as the energy surged through its structure. Sparks erupted, and the ship began to tilt dangerously. The aliens inside scrambled in panic, their coordinated efforts to defend crumbling before the onslaught. "Keep firing," shouted Marcus as he aimed for another weak point. Leela felt her heart racing as she fired another beam of energy, the weapon's power responding to her determination. They could see the alien forces faltering, their morale shattered by the unexpected resistance of the humans. The tide had truly turned, and Leela felt a rush of hope surging within her. But just as they seemed to be gaining the upper hand, a loud roar echoed from the ship. It was a chilling sound that reverberated through the air and sent a wave of fear coursing through them. "What was that?" asked Jenna, looking around wide-eyed. Leela glanced up just in time to see a massive alien creature emerge from the command ship. It was unlike anything they had faced before, towering over them with thick armor and glowing eyes that radiated a malevolent intelligence. "We need to take it down," said Marcus, fearlessness in his voice. "We can't let it reach us." The creature charged forward, its massive limbs pounding against the ground, sending tremors through the earth. The group quickly regrouped, preparing to face this new threat. Leela activated the weapon, aiming for the creature's vulnerable spots, but it moved with incredible speed, dodging her blast and closing the distance between them. Tom and Jenna opened fire, but their bullets bounced harmlessly off its armored skin. The creature roared again, a deafening sound that filled the air with dread. "Focus on its legs," shouted Marcus as he strategized. "We can bring it down if we target its mobility." Leela nodded, her mind racing. She could feel the adrenaline surging as she aimed for one of the creature's legs, unleashing a beam of energy that struck true. The creature stumbled for a moment, but quickly regained its balance. It's not enough, she thought as fear clawed at her mind, but they couldn't give in. They had to find a way to defeat it. "We can't let it reach the others," said Jenna, her voice fierce. "We have to hold our ground." They pressed forward, targeting the creature with everything they had. Lila's heart raced as she fired again, each blast sending ripples of energy through the air. The creature roared in frustration, but they could see it weakening. Just then Marcus found a massive piece of debris, and hurled it at the creature. Striking it in the side, it roared again, and Leela saw an opening. Now shouted Leela as she aimed for its exposed underbelly with everything she had. The weapon surged with energy. Responding to her resolve, she fired the beam, and it struck with tremendous force. The creature let out a final roar as it collapsed to the ground, its massive form hitting the ground with a thud that shook the very earth beneath them. They did it. The command ship was vulnerable, and the aliens were in disarray. The battle was turning in their favor as the human fighters rallied around them, feeling the shift in momentum. Together, they would reclaim their world, and Leela knew they had forged a path toward a future free from oppression, united in their fight for survival and freedom.